In the first season of the Showtime series Mad Men, there is an episode called Babylon. In this episode, Don's mistress invites him to Greenwich Village to come and hang out with her bohemian friends. Don despises the bohemians. They're pretentious, they're lazy, and they're hypocrites. The only thing Don hates more than the bohemians are the performances that they're forced to endure at the anarcho-communist performance space that they attend. That is, until a performance triggers something in Don and forces him into a moment of reflection.
By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We lay down.
I have this strange affinity for the 1960s. I know I wasn't there, but the feeling that I have resembles something like nostalgia. I was curious if other people also felt feelings of nostalgia for times that they didn't actually exist in, and it turns out that it's actually pretty common. There's even a word for it, and that word is Anemoia. In 1926, George S. Clason self-published a guide to financial literacy titled The Richest Man in Babylon. The book consists of parables set in the High Bronze Age. These parables present simple lessons to do with saving and investing. The central figure is Akkad. Akkad starts as a poor scribe and through a combination of austerity and financial know-how, eventually becomes the most well-to-do man in the ancient metropolis. There is something undeniably meaningful about the number 2. We attempt to rationalize away their influence, yet we cannot ignore that everywhere we look, we see binaries. You are probably familiar with the political compass. It is a two-dimensional shape onto which one can plot their political identity. There is one dimension for your relationship with authority and one for how you feel about government spending. In reality, any kind of meaningful map of your political identity would require an object with many more than 2 dimensions, but 2 is what our brains are able to easily visualize. A more precise political compass would take those 2 dimensions, make them independent sliders, and then add many more sliders underneath them. We could add how you feel about intervention in overseas conflict. We could add how you feel about man-made climate change. And we need not stop there. We could include personality traits like forgetfulness and how likely you are to help a friend move house. By the end, we could have something that resembles the screen of a video game where you assign stats to your character, a complete picture of your personality made of values plotted on straight lines between 2 poles. Now if we just zoom in on one of these sliders which represents a personality trait, we will find that that trait can most likely be measured by a certain quantity of some chemical in the human brain, something hormonal, something ultimately deterministic. Thus, it is not a product of socialization, but it is a product of our incarnation into human bodies that we are primed to view the world in terms of dichotomies. This video is about a fundamental dichotomy that exists in the human psyche. I am talking about the dichotomy between Babylon and Zion. The Babylonian exile began in 586 BCE. Nebuchadnezzar II destroyed Jerusalem and the First Temple. He deported thousands of Judean elites, priests, and artisans to Babylon. The exile lasted roughly 50 to 70 years. During this period, the followers of Yahweh encountered Babylonian and older Sumerian myths. They encountered stories of gardens and the giving of wisdom. The proto-god of Sumerian pantheistic tradition is Enki. Enki is portrayed as sometimes a snake, sometimes a dragon, sometimes a fish. Now, this motif of the snake or the dragon or the fish appears cross-culturally all throughout the world. Think of Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerica. Think of Australia, the rainbow serpent, who actually also emerges from the water.
Looking happy now, laughing.
Humans have a very particular survival mechanism stored way back in the amygdala, and this evolved when we were small mammals who lived in trees. What are the three things that mammals who live in trees are most afraid of, if they aren't? Snakes, predatory birds, and bushfires. A fear of these elements is a huge survival advantage to any tree-dwelling mammal, and these instincts lie semi-dormant in the human subconscious. Of course, the crucial difference between the Sumerian and Hebrew interpretations of the garden story is that in the Sumerian version, the serpent giving humanity the gift of wisdom lifts us from out of a state of ignorance. In the Hebrew version, the gifting of wisdom, in fact, was pulling humanity down from a state of innocence. Thus, in the Hebrew interpretation, the serpent is widely understood to be
Omir, you failed in your mission once again. Death for a coward.
This inversion reveals the deeper character of Hebrew mythology. It is rooted in yearning for the past. It carries a strong nostalgia for a lost golden age. The exile itself intensified this feeling. The exile was interpreted as Yahweh's own doing. This preserved the idea of Yahweh's total control, even in defeat. The experience during the exile shaped the Hebrew Bible in lasting ways. Themes of return, restoration, and lost innocence became central. These motifs passed into Christian mythology. The fall, exile from paradise, and hope of return echo through the New Testament. The Babylonian exile helped turn Hebrew religion toward a deep Anemoia, a nostalgia for a past that were never personally experienced. Tensile systems are structures that rely on tension to function. In engineering, tension is not a flaw. It is an essential part of the design. Many bridges are tensile systems. Cables and suspension elements pull in opposite directions. This controlled tension creates strength and stability. Without the tension, the structure would collapse. Societies also contain tensile systems. Democracy operates as one. It requires opposing forces and competing interests. The constant pull in different directions produces balance. From this tension emerges order, accountability, and functional governance. The human psyche is a tensile system. Within the psyche exists a pantheon of archetypes. Each archetype has evolved in the service of ensuring the future of your precious genetic code. Yet, each archetype pulls in different directions to keep the psyche in balance. Where two archetypes pull against one another, a dichotomy emerges. The pull of Zion and the pull of Babylon is one such dichotomy. The Babylonian Exile created a powerful symbolic framework in the Hebrew Bible. This framework later traveled far beyond its original time and place. In the 17th to 19th centuries, millions of West Africans were taken to the Americas. They endured forced labor and lived in conditions of captivity. European colonizers imposed Christian teachings on these communities. Within this new form of exile, certain biblical stories resonated deeply. The image of the Israelites held captive in Babylon spoke directly to the experience of bondage. The longing for return to Zion became a symbol of hope and liberation. Babylon, as it had done 2 millennia previously, came to represent systems of captivity, while Zion came to represent the Promised Land, a return to sovereignty and to dignity. The Babylon-Zion dichotomy offered a way to interpret suffering and maintain hope. It provided a spiritual language for resistance and cultural identity. The narrative of exile and eventual return gave meaning to the experience of displacement. Anemoia combines the ancient Greek words for mind and tree. It is supposed to conjure the image of a tree, bent backwards by the wind, forced to stare into the past. In the episode of Mad Men that I mentioned earlier, a sincere moment occurs during a musical performance in a bar. I spoke previously about Babylon as a symbol for captivity. Well, this is emblematic of the captivating influence of the opposite pole in the Babylon-Zion dichotomy, the pole that pulls us backwards. In typical Mad Men fashion, this moment of genuine reflection does not lead to personal change. It does not make Don a better father or husband. Instead, he immediately turns the insight into a business opportunity. Don is working on an advertising campaign for Kodak's new slide projector. Kodak wants to call the device the Wheel. Don rejects this idea. He renames it the Carousel. The carousel, he explains, lets people go round and round. It allows them to revisit the past again and again. This captures what people truly desire, a return to happier times. Don turns a deep human longing into a marketing strategy. He gives the Babylonian Man a device that lets him indulge in his own nostalgia. A device that keeps him captivated, going round and round in circles indefinitely.
We had read democracy, that its respect, freedom, and individualism, and its abhorrence of all forms of
In the early 19th century, a group of Americans formed the American Colonization Society. Their goal was to help people of African descent return to Africa and establish a new homeland. This project was seen by some as a practical vision of return and self-determination. In 1821, the society was able to acquire a parcel of land on the coast of West Africa. This settlement would come to be known as the settlement of Monrovia. In 1822, just 1 year later, the settlers would begin to arrive. In 1847, the settlement declared independence as the Republic of Liberia. For many involved, Liberia represented a modern version of Zion. It symbolized freedom, self-rule, and reconnection with the African continent after generations of displacement. In practice, the new society developed deep divisions. The returning settlers, known as Americo-Liberians, established the government and institutions. They created a system in which they held most of the political and economic power. Over time, this led to significant separation from the indigenous communities already living in the region. The Americo-Liberians often viewed their own culture and customs as more advanced. Indigenous groups faced restricted rights and limited participation in national affairs for many decades. This created long-standing resentment and inequality between the two populations. These tensions built up over more than a century. In the late 20th century, they contributed to major civil conflicts. The wars brought widespread suffering and instability to the country. Liberia's story shows the difficulty of creating a physical return to a symbolic Zion. The vision of restoration faced complex social and practical realities on the ground. What began as a hopeful experiment in freedom and self-determination revealed how difficult it is to overcome historical divisions. Thus we see that Zion is not a geographical place to which one can simply return. Rather, it is a spiritual place, a symbolic ideal representing an idealized past. Its pull on us is all the stronger for the fact that the past is a place to which we can never return.
Great Scott. Oh, I had no idea how that compound interest piles up. Well, as I always say, a penny earned is a penny saved, and always will be.
The Richest Man in Babylon is presented as a book about building wealth. Its lessons focus on practical steps for investing and managing money. At its core, however, the book is really about time. Investing is fundamentally a relationship with time. The central principle is compound interest. Money that is saved and wisely invested grows over long periods. Small, consistent actions become powerful when given enough time. Akkad teaches that wealth comes from patience and discipline. He emphasizes starting early and allowing time to multiply what you save. The stories show how those who respect time and let their money work for them eventually succeed. The book reminds us that time is the one resource that cannot be replaced. The past and the future cannot exist at the same time. They are opposing poles. Babylon embodies the forward drive. It represents progress, complexity, ambition, and the accumulation of wealth and knowledge. It is the realm of the present and the future. Yet even within Babylon, a persistent yearning remains. Zion represents return, restoration, and the idealized past. It is the longing for lost innocence and a simpler state of being. We live in Babylon. We build, we accumulate, we move forward. But part of us always remembers Zion. There is an old Taoist story about the relationship between humans and time. The central character is a wise farmer, uncaptured by the influence of time. One day his only horse ran away. His neighbors came and said, "What bad luck?" The farmer replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing 2 wild horses with it. The neighbors said, "What good fortune?" The farmer replied, "Maybe." The following day, his son tried to ride one of the new horses, fell and broke his leg. The neighbors said, "How terrible." The farmer replied, "Maybe." The day after that, military officials came through the village. They conscripted all the able-bodied young men for war, but they left the farmer's son behind because of his broken leg. The neighbors gathered to say to the farmer, "What incredible luck!" To which the farmer replied, "Maybe."